Welcome to StonerCast, your official deep dive into Columbus Clingstones baseball. As the AA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves, the Clingstones are building the future of baseball in the A, and we're here to bring you closer to it all. Get the inside look at what makes this team and this community so special. This is StonerCast. Here's your hosts, Ricky and Dave.
Hey, welcome to StonerCast, you guys. We are so glad you're here. Man, we've got a great episode planned, but we got to handle some business first. You know what it is. Look down there, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an enemy to tell an enemy. Let them know, hey, guys, we're talking StonerCast all year round. There is no off season, only on. We're talking StonerCast from January to December. We're going to take some breaks here and there, but for the most part, you can tune in right here to find all the behind-the-scenes info, all the intel you want on the Columbus Clingstones baseball team. As always, I am joined by my good friend, my co-host, Dave Norris, all the way from Pell City, Alabama. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, what's up, Ricky? Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Man, it's been a day. It's a Wednesday. It's a hump day. We're recording this. This won't actually debut, and it'll be on a Friday when it debuts. But hey, Wednesday, hump day. It's been a crazy day. So just glad we're finally made it to the end, and we get to interview our guest tonight. We are thrilled to be joined by a guy that he's been there, he's done that, he's got the T-shirt, right? He's went from high school to JUCO to Georgia Tech, drafted by the Nationals, made his way up the ladder in the Nationals, struggled a little bit. We'll talk about that. He had some great moments. Anyway, whatever happened, he's here now with the Braves, and we are so stoked that he is. He appeared in 22 games with the Clingstones this season, and really is – it's crazy to say that a guy drafted in 2019 was the veteran of the staff, but he was. He was the veteran. He's the guy that had the experience. So we're just so stoked to have Amos Willingham with us tonight. And, man, Dave, I'm telling you what, I'm excited. We've got some great questions for him, some fan participation, and we've got a really cool lightning round planned for him as well.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. It's going to be fun.
So, hey, StonerCast Nation, you guys welcome to StonerCast, Amos Willingham. Welcome, Amos.
What's going on, guys? I appreciate you having me on. I'm fired up.
What's up, Amos? How are you, man?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
Dude, I remember the day that you were assigned to Columbus. And I told my kids, I was like, this isn't just going to watch some kid that was drafted last year. This guy's got MLB experience. So I'm really excited to dive into this. I know my boys this will probably be one of the first ones they're really excited to listen to. So, Amos, welcome to StonerCast. We're stoked that you're on with us. Before we get into the questions, tell our audience what you've been up to this off season, and maybe followed up with a snapshot of how you feel looking back on the 2025 season, a season that saw you go from FCL to Rome to Columbus and Gwinnett. It was a busy year.
It was a busy year, yeah. This off season, so I'm getting started into off season training. About 3 or 4 weeks into really kind of bearing down and getting going and getting ready for next year. So as far as that goes, I think that's going well so far, and I'm excited to kind of see how things progress. I think looking back at this past season, it wasn't what I expected. I didn't have the success that I thought I wanted to have, and obviously not what I expected to happen throughout the year. Just some injury issues, and never really got back to where I wanted to be. And so I'm excited for this off season. I think I'm working out with Tread Athletics this off season, so it's going to be a little bit different program. And they got a lot of guys that they're all stars, big league all stars. guys that are pitching in the postseason that have pitched in the postseason this year. So I'm excited. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, the Stoner Cast Nation, Amos grew up in Rome, Georgia. Amos, take us back to growing up in Rome. What are some of your earliest memories of baseball, and when did you really peg, hey, this is something I'm gonna pursue as a career?
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying I was born in Rome, but I'm not from Rome. So I'm
Okay.
from Somerville, Georgia. The reason it says I was born in Rome is because Somerville is not big enough to have a hospital.
Gotcha.
So Somerville is an even smaller town than Rome. I think the town population is 4,500, 5,000, somewhere in there. So really small town, really, really rural Georgia. Um, but when I was little, my older sister, she's about 3.5 years older than me, and so she was starting to play t-ball when she was 6 or 7. And I was driving my parents crazy, and they wanted to get me out of the house. So I actually played on her t-ball team when I was 3. They let me go out, run around in diapers or whatever I was doing. So the baseball career started early, and I love to play. We would be out in the yard. I mean, just about every day in the summers, and just throwing, hitting wiffle balls. My dad, my sister, my mom would be out there sometimes. So it was a big family affair. Um, and growing up, I got to experience some cool things at higher levels of baseball because I had 2 cousins, Lee and Russ Mitchell. Um, and when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, Lee was playing baseball at UGA, and Russ was at Cartersville High School. And so I think in '06, maybe '05 or '06, Russ's Cartersville team won the state championship, and Lee's UGA team went to Omaha. And so I grew up going to their games and seeing that high level baseball, and just I wanted to be like them. And I just kept playing. They actually were both in the same draft class, um, which was really cool. So Lee
Wow.
was a third rounder as a junior from UGA, and Russ was a 13th rounder, I want to say, as a high school draft. Um, and so Russ actually got drafted by the Dodgers, whose affiliate was the Columbus Catfish at the time.
Nice. Okay.
So Russ would play in Rome at the Rome Braves. So grew up going to his games. And then Lee, when he got to AA, they played in Chattanooga. So I went to Chattanooga Lookouts games. And then Russ, the Dodgers drafted Russ, and their AA affiliate at one point was the Chattanooga Lookouts. And so I just grew up around a high level of baseball and seeing what those guys were doing, and that's what I wanted to do. And so as I started to get into high school, I started looking at going to college and playing, because the ultimate goal is to play professionally and play in the big leagues. But as a high school kid, I wasn't very mature physically. I was a pretty late bloomer. I was pretty young for my grade. I was 17 when I graduated high school, and I didn't have very many offers. Um, I had no D1 offers. I had a couple D2s looking at me and D3 here and there. And then Snead State over in Boaz, Alabama. Their coach came, saw me throw one summer, gave me an offer, said that they wanted me. They thought I could play for them and that I could contribute to their team. And so that was, that was the one school, the one coach that really gave me a shot as kind of a young, skinny high school kid that was, I was throwing mid 80s in high school. Definitely not super impressive. Um, but yeah, the the climb started early, and I had a lot of good influences to contribute to it. But it was definitely something that I wanted to do from a young age, and something that my family was able to help me, and it was definitely fun for a long time, and it's still fun, and I just love the game, and I love going out there every day. So it's a privilege, and I'm thankful for the whole ride.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. That's a great story. You mentioned that you're from Somerville. My sister, one of my sisters, is actually from Jasper, Georgia. She
Uh,
actually lives in a place called Talking Rock, if you're familiar with that.
I don't know if I've heard of Talking Rock. Maybe in
Yeah.
past. I know I've been to Jasper. I'm sure either me or my sister one played in a tournament somewhere around Jasper. I think
Yeah.
we've been every corner of the state of Georgia to play somewhere.
Yeah, it's about I think it's about 50 miles from you. That's not far. I'm familiar with where you're from. But anyway, you had mentioned you went to Chattooga High School in Somerville, and you were a multi-position player. Um, at what point did you think that pitching was going to be your thing? And what other positions did you play?
Yeah, so I grew up. So Lee and Russ, both my cousins, they played third, um, and Chipper Jones, of course, was the Braves' third baseman for my entire childhood, and so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play third. Um, I wanted to hit, and pitching for most of my younger career, really up until college, pitching was pretty secondary.
Mhm.
Um, it was just something I was pretty good at. Most of the teams I played on, I was never the best pitcher on the team. Usually I was, there were 2 or 3 guys that were always they threw harder than me. They threw breaking balls, and, my job as a pitcher when I was younger was to just, throw strikes and try to throw innings when we needed them here and there. Um,
Mhm.
but even in high school, I didn't pitch that much. I think my freshman and sophomore years combined, I threw less than 20 innings. And then my junior year, I got to pitch. I was one of our main starters. And so I threw a lot my junior year. And the summer between junior year and senior year is when I kind of started to make headway for getting looked at by coaches. And I still wasn't, I didn't throw very hard. I was 85,
Uh-huh.
87. So I wasn't attracting a lot of attention. Um, and as a hitter, I think the whole time I liked hitting better, but I knew that I had a better shot as a pitcher. Um, and then I ended up going to Sneed. I continued to play third and hit and pitch at the same time my freshman year at Sneed. And I was, when the year started, I was a pretty good hitter. And there's actually a game where um, I started the game. I went 1, 2, 3 in the we were on the road, so I went 1, 2, 3, bottom of the first. I was hitting 4 hole. I led off the top of the second with a homer. Um, and then that was definitely the peak of my hitting career because it went downhill pretty fast after that. Uh, and so probably late into my freshman year of college at Sneed, kind of a mutual decision between me and the coach that like, hey, your best bet is as a pitcher, and so if you want to play at a high level, I think that's what you should focus on. And so my sophomore year was the first year that I was a pitcher only.
Um, as you mentioned, you came out of high school and you went the JUCO route and went to Sneed State before you transferred over to Georgia Tech. What do you feel made JUCO the right choice for you coming out of high school, and what was the transition from Sneed State over to the ACC like?
Yeah, so it definitely, because I was young and I wasn't physically developed yet, JUCO and Sneed, they just gave me a chance to kind of just fill out and grow into my body. I had a good frame. I was, pretty much the same height, 6'4". But when I left high school, I weighed 185, 190 on a good day. Um, I wasn't very strong. I didn't really start taking the weight room seriously until probably my senior year of high school. And so I was just kind of lacking in the physical development. And JUCO and Sneed, it gives you an opportunity to go and play college baseball and be away from home and kind of grow up in a more controlled atmosphere. Um, because Somerville's a really small town, and Boaz, Alabama, isn't much bigger, and so it was a simpler transition, and that probably helped me a lot. To go to a somewhat familiar environment. Um, and it just gave me a little bit of extra time and a little bit of experience, because if I would have went to a 4-year school at a high school and um, not been developed, I wouldn't have been able to get as much experience as I did in my time that I had at Sneed. And so when I did end up going to Tech, it was a pretty big adjustment just as far as the environment and the atmosphere. Because it's going from a town of 4,500 to a town of 10,000, and then now we're in Atlanta with 6 million people or whatever it is. And so I think because I went to Sneed and I had some years under my belt, it made that transition a little bit easier because it wasn't the first time I was away from home. It wasn't the first time that I was in, a college locker room. And I felt like even though I was coming in fresh, as a new face without experience at that level, I felt like that I still had enough experience and enough, you know, just of a mental picture of what to expect, that it wasn't as much of a jolt and a culture shock as it would have been if I went out of high school to a place like that.
Awesome. Amos, you played under legendary coach Danny Hall at Georgia Tech.
Mm.
Full disclosure, I am a Clemson Tiger.
That's tough.
Coach Hall decided to hang it up after last season. Yay. After 32 years, he's Georgia Tech's all-time winningest coach. Talk a little bit about your experience playing for the winningest coach in Tech's history. Rammer's taking over.
Yeah.
What do you expect from the Yellow Jackets in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Hall, the fact that Coach Hall actually came to, I can't even think of the town that the school's in, but Central Alabama Community College. We were playing,
CACC.
yeah, we were playing a fall game, and I didn't get recruited by big schools, and Tech was really the only big school that had ever shown any interest in me, and so I had talked to Coach Hall a little bit that sophomore year when I was at Sneed in the fall. And so I guess I had probably looked at the website and like just seen what he looked like. But we go over, we're gonna play that game at CAC, and there's just this old guy just kind of hanging around by himself. And I was just like, I think that might be Coach Hall, but I don't really know for sure. Um, and so we played the game and we were on the way back home and we stopped at a Cracker Barrel to eat. Uh, and so I was in the gift shop area of the Cracker Barrel, and Coach Hall called me, and he said that they wanted to get me on a visit, and um, just the fact that he he went to wherever in the middle of Alabama and watched me pitch, and they wanted me to come to school. That kind of it meant a lot because that was the first time that somebody pretty high up in the game of baseball had ever really taken interest in me. And when I got to campus and we went through the season, it was just a such a good experience. And Coach Hall's got one of the best minds in the game, and how we ran practice and um, just everything we did on a day-to-day basis. He's a professional baseball mind. He was a really good preparation for what pro ball is like. He's all about business, and you're gonna show up on time, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna wear this, and everything that goes along with being a professional is kind of what he instilled at us at Tech. And the fact that he won as many games as he did, and he went to Omaha multiple times, it's just a testament to what he's done in the game. And I've seen him a couple times this off season. He's enjoying the retired life, it sounds like. He says he's got no interest in getting back into coaching, but I love Coach Hall, and he's definitely one of the most influential people that have been in my life. And at the other end of the spectrum, Coach Hall's he definitely has a temper, but he's pretty mild mannered, and uh, he is soft spoken. And then James Ramsey is the total opposite. He's going to talk your ear off. He's going to be, right up on you, just like high energy. And so I think that when they were together, they played off each other really well. And I think Rammer's going to do a great job. He just is. He's so good in the modern era of what college sports is, which it's you have the transfer portal and NIL, and Ramsey's just he's on top of all that, and he always wants to make sure he's taking care of his guys, and that he just is trying to show everybody that's part of the program, that they're a priority. And he's done a great job with us as alumni. He always wants us to come back and be around and work out the facility and talk to the players. And so I think that Ramsey, he was able to learn a lot from Coach Hall and his style and what he was able to do for so many years. And, he's going to bring a little bit of a different energy to it. And I think that that's going to be important, going down the road with what the college landscape looks like now.
So in off script real quick, so you weren't in college for the NIL days, right?
No, I just missed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So then looking back, you're like, dang, I would have been a professional student, right?
Yeah. So it's tough just because, you don't really know how things are going to play out. So maybe there's some missed opportunity there, but yeah, I think it worked out for me. I don't know if I would go back and test my chances again.
Right. Well, you made it all the way to the big leagues. You pitched in 19 games for the Nationals. Talk to us about that first MLB call-up moment. What was it like for you? And then kind of expand on that and talk to us about that first game. You were on the road in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
When you towed that rubber for the first time as a major leaguer, what was going through your head?
My call up it's a little bit of a strange circumstance. So our AAA with the Nats was in Rochester, New York, and the big league team they were on the West Coast. So they were playing in San Diego at the time, and I had pitched 2 innings on Friday, and so I was down Saturday, come back Sunday, and it's a scenario where I'm not high on the list, but if we get to a spot in the game where, I would come in, then, I'd be available. And so the game happens, and sure enough, we get to a spot in the seventh or eighth inning that, is kind of my situation that I would come in and throw. And they get somebody else up, somebody else goes in the game. And I don't really think that much of it at the time just because it's a long year and roles change and people, there's just so many moving parts. Um, and then after the game, we go in the clubhouse. The pitching coach comes and grabs me and he's like, "Hey, like, is your arm hurting? Like, are you good?" I'm like, yeah, I feel good. Like, what's going on? He's like, "Well, I don't know. Like, somebody said your arm was hurting." Um, and so he says, "Come in and we'll talk to the manager." Um, and Matthew Lee Croy was the manager, and he's a big league catcher. He played in the big leagues for a long time. He's been in minor league coaching pretty much his whole life since he stopped playing. And he's a great dude. I love playing for Lee Croy. And I go in his office, and he says the same thing. He says, like, "Are you feeling okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he says, "All right, come in and shut the door." And at this point, I got no idea what's going on or what's about to happen. Um, so I shut the door. I go in. I sit down, and he says, "Let me tell you a secret." And I just like, what? Like, what could this possibly be? I have no idea. And then he said, "You're gonna meet the big league team in Seattle." And I was just like, I don't even think I said anything. I was just speechless. And he said, "Did you hear me?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so." Um, but what made it weird was because they were already on the West Coast. The big league team was. They hadn't made the move for the roster spot to bring me up, and so um, they hadn't officially announced it yet. And so when he told me I was going up, he said, uh, like, "Call your parents, get them out so they can get ready to fly out, but like, don't tell anybody else because they don't want anybody to know before it becomes official." And so I called my parents, told them. Um, it was my dad had never even been on an airplane before, so of course he's got
Wow.
to fly 6 hours from Atlanta to
Atlanta to
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah. Um,
I've made
and
that flight before. It is not a lot of fun.
yeah, definitely not for your first one either.
Right.
So we get everybody situated, and then um, I go in, and usually when somebody goes up, especially for the first time, it's like a celebration in the clubhouse. You let everybody know, and because it wasn't supposed to be known really. Nobody knew, and there's a few guys left in the clubhouse, and I started packing up, and our bullpen catcher came over to me, and he was like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going up," but nobody's supposed to know. And he's like, "Oh, nice, dude." Um, and so for a long time, the only people that even knew that I was going to the big leagues were my parents and our bullpen catcher. Um, but I go just getting to Seattle and going to the park for the first time. It was, I mean, because when I was at Tech, um, we played at Truist Park against UGA. And then I went to the Fall League and we played at Chase Field, the D-back stadium. And so I had been to Major League Parks before and played games there. but going to a big league park as a major leaguer for the first time was pretty surreal. And I remember so I landed in Seattle on Monday afternoon, probably around 2 p.m. And I had to Uber from the airport to the stadium. And so I've got everything that I brought with me. So I've got my personal suitcase, I've got my carry-on, I got a backpack, and then I've got my baseball equipment bag. And so the Uber didn't know where to let me out at because I don't think it's common knowledge where the player's entrance is. And so
Right.
I just get out on the side of the road by the stadium somewhere, and I just have everything. And our clubby had sent me a text, and he was calling me and like trying to get me in the right place. And so I'm just walking down the sidewalk with everything, and I got equipment bag with me. And there are people that are like tailgating and getting tickets. And this lady comes up to me and she's like, "Are you a player?" It's like, yeah, I just got called up first day, and she was like, "Oh, congratulations, congratulations." She's had a ball. She said, "Will you sign this?" And I signed it. And when you sign something as a ball player, you always put your number on it just so people can, really know who you are. And I signed my name. I didn't put a number on it. And she stopped me and she's like, "Well, like, what's your number? Like, why didn't you put a number on there?" It's like, I don't have it. Like, I don't even know what
Right.
number.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out what number I am when I go in the first time. And so it was just a rush of emotion and just adrenaline the whole time. And so just going out on the field and playing catch and being out there for BP, it's a totally different atmosphere. It feels like that you left AAA feels like Little League, and then now you're playing on Mars or something. It's like
Right.
totally incomparable. Um, and then so the first game when I made my debut, um, I just remember going down the stairs from the bullpen to the field, and they open the gate, and just to see the field for the first time from that perspective and knowing that you're about to go in the game, it was just like another just rush of emotion and thoughts, and um, just trying to control your heart rate and not throw up or fall down running in from the bullpen. And I remember when I got out to the mound, I picked up the ball and I made sure that I did a 360 and got a panoramic view of the stadium, and just know that, whatever happens after this point, like, I made it here. And kind of a lifelong goal, lifelong dream had been accomplished. And then, when I got ready to throw my first pitch, you kind of push that like giddy your first time emotion out of the way, and try to focus in on the game. Um, and for me, it's tough if you go back and watch the video. I threw a 1-2 pitch that if you look at the K zone, the strike zone, it clipped the zone and it should have been strike 3. It gets called a ball, and then just of course the next pitch gets hit for a homer. So
Yeah.
it definitely, that's welcome to the big leagues moment. You think
Right.
you strike out your first hitter, and it turns out he hits a homer off of you. So, but that's kind of what the whole experience is like. Especially for me personally, it was just there's so much happening, and there's so many good emotions and adrenaline going, and then something will happen pretty quick, and you'll get humbled and you'll get put in your place, and it's just a constant battle of mental toughness and mental fortitude to make sure that that you think that you can be there and you can pitch there.
Was that the year Seattle hosted the All-Star game? because they actually got Atlanta's All-Star game.
It might have been. I can't remember.
You were caught up in June.
Yeah, it was because Josiah Gray was our All-Star that year, and he hadn't been gone from Seattle long, and he went back and had to fly back to Seattle after that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you were in Washington, you weren't in Seattle, so it's not like you could have taken part in those festivities. But
Yeah.
the All-Star year is usually pretty big around a park. You know,
Yeah.
you get patches, commemorative patches, and all kinds of things that surround each game that they play leading up to the actual All-Star game. So
Yeah, I mean, it was a Wednesday afternoon game, and it was a pretty good crowd. There was, I mean, at least 20,000 people there for a 1 o'clock Wednesday game. So
yeah,
definitely the most people in a game that I had pitched in. And then so the 2 nights before that, it was pretty close to sold out. So it wasn't like it's weird, kind of the difference between what a AAA game is and what a big league game is, because it really does feel like it's a totally different game.
yeah.
Man, the way you described that strike three that wasn't but should have been, I felt that. I did. I felt that, man. That was terrible. Murdoch, this is why we chirp at umps.
Yeah, there you go, Murdoch.
Yeah.
But
Murdoch is an umpire we know, and he's a really good guy, but that's why we chirp at umps, Murdoch.
So he's friends with all the umpires in the Southern League. Like went to school with them. He went to Windelstadt, so like he knows all of them very well. And yeah, he sits in my section, like 3 rows behind me. So anytime I'm like, "That was terrible," he's behind me like, "Good call, Frank," or "Good call, Bob." And I'm like, I turn around and look at him and I'm like, "Dude, really?"
Yeah.
So
he is a wealth of knowledge, though. He's fun. Anyway, earlier this year, you were acquired by your home state team, the Atlanta Braves. What was that moment like for a guy that grew up rooting for the Braves and Chipper Jones and things like that? How did that hit you when you found out you were acquired by the Braves?
So when I got DFA'd by the Nats, and I kind of heard from my agent about teams that might be interested in claiming me. And there's a group of 5, 6, 7 teams that I had heard about, and the Braves weren't in that group. And so kind of the whole process, I didn't really think the Braves were going to be an option. And then the deadline, so when the deadline came for my waiver period, the Nats assistant GM called me, and I knew when he called me I got claimed by somebody, but I didn't know who yet. So I answer, and he says, "Hey, just want to let you know that you've been claimed." So when he says that, I kind of start going through my head, like, okay, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, these teams I'd kind of heard about. And he says, the Atlanta Braves have claimed you. And then when he said that, is just like, whoa, this is what I wanted my whole life from a kid until, and so another kind of just emotional moment, called my parents, called my dad, told them, and, everybody's super excited. And because, the Nats affiliates even are, they're all in the Northeast. And so it's hard for people to even come. And so I knew
the closest one's Wilmington, right?
Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg. Okay.
Yeah. And so I knew that even if I wasn't going to be in the big leagues this year, with the Braves, at least I'd be close to home. And, that was a lot of fun, especially I got to go to big league spring training and be around the guys. And, Snit came in and talked to us a few times. And so it was cool to to be a part of and to wear the Braves gear. And the clubhouse in Florida, they got tickets, and they showed us a video at one point of what they expected of us and kind of what the goals were going to be, and it just has all these highlights from the history in Atlanta, and it's just all these clips of games that I've seen and that my dad watched and that we watched together. And so it was, I got goosebumps just being in there and kind of getting to be a part of that organization was really cool for me.
And it's a really cool perspective because, like, we just did an interview with Lucas Braun a while back that he was a Dodgers fan. Obviously, grew up in Southern Cal, and he was a Dodgers fan. And when he watches the videos of the Braves of what they expect of you, he's not watching those clips. He's not watching Sid slide. He's not watching Justice hitting a home run in the '95 World Series when the entire state was like, boo Justice, it's crazy, and it's very special, I would think, for a Braves player to be, to finally get with the organization that you grew up loving. I just look back on days when I played Little League and I'm on the mound and I'm like, crap, I'm like Greg Maddux, right now, Greg Maddux, 3-2 count, what are you going to do? So when you finally get to that point, that's got to be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it was really cool. And just because, like you said, just all these things that I've seen 1,000 times, like Sid slide and, Andrew's catch over his shoulder. And, they won the World Series in '95. And, the Hank Aaron stuff and Dale Murphy stuff and stuff that my dad watched and that my dad showed me. And so it was just really cool to think, that I was a part of that now, and that I was going to have a chance to make my own history and with that.
Well, I would assume you went to big league spring training, so I would assume you met Chipper.
He was not there at any point when I was there. He might have been with the hitters at some point, but I wasn't around him.
So you have yet to meet Chipper Jones.
I've yet to meet Chipper.
Oh man, that moment's going to probably be like unreal.
Yeah, probably. I got maybe not anymore, but I might still have an old Chipper Jones jersey laying around here somewhere.
Well, let's talk about Columbus a little bit. The atmosphere at Synovus Park it got pretty electric at times this season. Take a moment and let us know how impactful it is to take the field as a player with a really good crowd in the stands, a crowd that's making a ton of noise, a crowd that's cheering you on.
Yeah, it always helps when you feel like that you got the crowd behind you, and that people are rooting for you and they want you to do well. And probably the best crowd that I pitched in front of in Columbus was I can't remember what night it was, but it was childhood cancer, and I think
Glove night.
Yeah.
That was an insane game.
And so
that was the game Chris Sale was supposed to start.
Yeah. And so it was a sold out crowd, and I was in the game, and between innings when I was in the game, they did the ceremony on the field with all the kids, and that's the kind of stuff that you kind of forget about as a player sometimes, just because you're just so focused on going about your day and your goals and what you're going to do personally, and you kind of forget that that the game isn't, for us, it's our career and it's our life, and it's just another day at work. And for the people that come to the games, it's their entertainment. It's what that's what they take their kids to, and it's how they want to spend their time and their free time and their money. And moments like that kind of bring back that perspective as a player, And anytime I can, I try to sign autographs and let fans know that I appreciate them coming, because it makes a lot of difference. And when you can play in front of a home crowd and feel the energy. And Columbus brought it a lot this year. And we can definitely feel it as players. And it is something that I think we take for granted sometimes, but it's something that we do really appreciate.
That night was a pretty epic night in Snovis Park.
Yeah.
I had a little part in helping the staff out with getting some of the patients in for that game. And from first pitch to Emma Grace running that victory lap, dude, I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was incredible. Did you come out before or after her victory lap?
So I was out there before. I threw the inning. I think when the inning that I threw ended was when they did the ceremony. Because I remember Steed, he asked me, like, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a break here. Are you gonna be good to go?" And so I told him, yeah, and they did the ceremony, and then we hit, and then I went back out for the next inning. But I had tears in my eyes when she ran the bases, because it was just, it was
absolutely. That was a moment, man. I was crying like a baby. I'm not even gonna lie. Amos, baseball is often called a game of streaks, and every player lands in a slump from time to time. What advice would you give to a young pitcher who is going through a stretch of rough outings?
Yeah, it definitely happens to all of us. I felt like I was on a stretch of rough outings for most of this year, but I think the main thing is that you just have to keep going. My dad always told me, and every once in a while he'll tell me, he says, I don't care if they hit it 9 miles, when you get the ball back to the next pitch, you got to think that you're better than the guy in the box. And so I think that when you go through a rough stretch, it's easy to let yourself be down and to lose confidence in yourself and in your stuff. But the most important is to just always feel like that you're in control and that you have the ball, and that if you want to, and if you feel like that you can, then you'll come out of it, and just get back right to where you want to be. And I think that the main thing for me, and I think a lot of older pitchers, professional level pitchers, is that you start to worry a lot about what's going on and how things feel, and instead of just relaxing and having fun and letting your body take over, and don't think as much about what's going on or what the results are, because anytime you're thinking too much, it tightens you up, and you're just not going to let your body work the way it's supposed to. And so I just keep confidence in yourself, and whatever happened, the pitch before, the hitter before, the game before, don't let that impact what you're going to do in this next moment, because this next moment is all that matters. And so just tell yourself, whatever happened, good, bad, indifferent, the pitch before, it's the next pitch that matters the most.
Young pitchers, it's a short memory. That's all. That's what you got to have. Short memory.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So I had a completely different last question, but as I'm sitting here thinking, I can't believe I didn't put this in here. So this is going to be my last question for you, Amos.
Yeah.
Born in Somerville, close enough to Rome for you to be actually born in Rome at the hospital. How was it putting on the Emperor's uniform the first time and taking the field in Rome?
Yeah, it was really cool. I actually So when I was in Wilmington with the Nationals affiliate, we got to play in Rome in 2022, and so that was the
Okay.
first time that I had played in Rome. A lot of the high schools in the area will play each other in like a regular season game, and they play some of the state tournament games here.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
feel like Chattooga was one of the only ones that never got to play there, and so I never had been on the field until we came when I was with Wilmington, and that was really cool because the Nationals affiliates are all in the Northeast, and so that was the first time that a lot of my kind of extended family had ever seen me pitch in person as a professional player.
Wow.
And when I actually got to pitch for Rome, it was really cool. It's not quite the Rome Braves that I grew up with, but the Rome Emperors is still pretty cool. And I think if they were gonna rebrand it, I think the Emperors is as good of a rebrand as they could have done. Um,
Absolutely. That's a good looking jersey too.
Dude, I have one of their promo jerseys from this past year, and yeah, I love it. I've thought many times about like just rocking it on a
they
regular
do
Monday to work.
stuff. So, um, but yeah, it was cool, and I was kind of on a rehab assignment, and so it was a good stop to just kind of come back in and see everybody. And I got to be at home for the week, and kind of the same thing. People that hadn't seen me pitch for a long time got to come out and watch. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, it's time for fan questions. And this is a segment. I gave this to Dave with our last recording, and I'm going to let him take it away from here. But fans, we love getting your questions.
That's right. We got some fan questions for you, Amos. Okay.
All
This
right.
one was submitted by Luke Colvin via email. Oh, wait a minute. I started in the middle of it. I'm new at this, people. We love having fans submitted questions for our guests. To submit a question to StonerCast, you can email them to thestonercastshow at gmail.com. That is the stonercastshow at gmail.com. Okay. And or comment on our guest announcement on any of our social media channels. Okay, this question was submitted by Luke Colvin via email. Amos, growing up in Georgia and rooting for the Braves, how tough was it to wear the Walgreens hat in Washington?
Yeah, it's definitely. I grew up. I did not like the Nats at all.
Good thing Bryce Harper wasn't there when you went there to
Yeah,
play, right? Yeah.
Ryan Zimmerman and Harper and Strasburg, and I feel like for a while, the Braves Nats and the Braves Phillies rivalry has always been pretty big. But I feel like there for a while, the Braves Nats was as big as any of them. And so it's kind of funny. I grew up a Georgia fan, a UGA fan. I ended up going to Tech. Grew up a Braves fan, and I'm playing for the Nats. So my family, my dad in particular, he was not too happy about the teams that ended up playing on. But no, it was interesting. I really liked DC actually. The DC and Washington was a fun place to play, and while it might have not have been my first choice when I was a kid, I think when you get to the professional level that anywhere that you can play and is going to give you opportunity is a place that you want to be. And so I think I'm very appreciative of my time with the Nats and still have a lot of friends over there. So um, yeah, it was at first it was a little weird, a little awkward, but through time, it kind of felt a little bit more normal.
I did notice today, looking back at your games with the Nats, you never had to face the Braves.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
actually,
that's a positive.
yeah. In 23, I missed it by a week. We were supposed to play the Braves the last week of September. Ended up getting optioned the week before. So
So
I kind of
you saw the Cubs, the Giants, Dodgers. Did you see the Dodgers too?
Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah,
Dodgers,
I mean
Cardinals.
you saw quite a few teams that weren't the Braves. So
Yeah.
that's something you always can stick in your back pocket as a Braves player. Now you can say, hey, I never came into Truist and struck anybody out.
Yeah.
Not a Brave, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question was submitted by Sherry Taylor from the Columbus Clingstones fans group on Facebook. What was your favorite restaurant in Columbus?
Ooh. I can't think of a dinner restaurant, but I did really like going to Iron Bank Coffee.
Mhm.
I went there a good bit. There's a few of the places, little restaurants and shops downtown that I went to a lot. Um, I think there's a Mexican restaurant there called Agave or something.
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
really
Always a good place.
it was really good. And then there's Italian place that's right there. I think Gabagool, I want to say.
Yep.
Um,
Gabagool.
Yep.
but
Brand new, fairly new restaurant.
that whole stretch of downtown I really liked. And this is the first time I'd really been to downtown Columbus. But I really liked it down there, and there's definitely a lot to do, a lot more than I thought there would be just before I had ever been to Columbus.
I know the owners of Iron Bank well, and I'm going to let them know that you
Yeah,
enjoyed coming there.
I did.
They'll love hearing that.
I went a lot before games.
All right. And Sherry Tyler, she had a second question. Do you guys have to find your own housing in each city you play in? With so many moves this season for you, I would imagine it's pretty tough.
So in the past, before the minor leaguers got accepted into the major league union, then yeah, you were just fully 100% on your own. There was times at lower levels that you would have a host family, and there would
Mhm.
be or two or a couple guys that would live together with a host family.
Mhm.
Um, but that was a thing growing up with my cousins Lee and Russ, but they played pro ball. Is that you kind of learn that it's minor league baseball in particular is not very glamorous life. It's
Mhm.
really a grind, and there's a lot of things that aren't ideal about it. Um, but I think the last, especially kind of since COVID and since they restructured the minor leagues, they've done a lot better job of taking care of guys, especially at the lower levels. Um,
Mhm.
and so I teams are required now to provide housing for their minor league players. Um, I was a little bit different because I did have major league time, and so the guys that came in and out of Columbus with big league time were kind of in the same boat where um, we could either find our own housing, and I was in a hotel at times in Columbus. I know sometimes guys will have Airbnbs short term. Um, and then also the team provided housing is an option if you want to do that.
Mhm.
But you don't really have any say of who you live with or where it's going to be. So it's either you take the team provided housing or you take your chances and try to find something yourself.
Shout out to Sherry. Those are great questions,
Yeah.
and that
It was,
last one
yeah.
is something I've always wondered and never asked.
I have too. I've always wondered that myself. All right, our next question is from Jay Cooley via the Stoners Facebook group. That's these guys right here.
Hey, I wanted to say at the top, I didn't get to mention it, but the Stoner Cast name of the show is elite. I love that.
Awesome.
I told my parents I was gonna be doing the Stoner Cast. My mom was like, "What is that?"
There's an apostrophe in front of stoner.
Yeah,
Yeah, that apostrophe is important. Just show it to your mom and tell her the apostrophe is important. It's there for a reason. Oh, anyway, okay. So Jay Cooley, via the Stoners Facebook group, he's got two questions. His first one: what are the differences in travel and accommodations between each level of the minor leagues and then the major leagues? I guess in the major leagues, you kind of buy your own house at that point.
So travel wise, it's pretty similar across all the minor leagues, especially now. Um,
Mhm.
most of the time, you're taking a bus, so it depends on how far away. So for a closer trip, so like when Columbus goes to Montgomery or Birmingham,
Mhm.
um, we'll take a bus on Tuesday morning and we'll drive over to the city. Um, we'll check into the hotel that we're going to be staying at, and then we'll usually have a couple hours to get food and kind of settle in before
Mhm.
they take us to the field for the day. Um,
Yeah.
and that, and then if we're going somewhere far, so like Columbus to Biloxi or Pensacola, we'll leave the Monday before the series starts and get down there Monday night. Same thing, just check in for the night, settle in, stay the night, and then go to the field the next day. Um, and that's pretty much the same for every level. Um, you have two buses, so everybody has their own seat. If you want to take a nap, you can lay across the seat, and it's no problem. And then every once in a while in AAA, especially, you'll have to fly to the next city, and so usually if you're gonna fly, you'll fly out on a Monday, so you'll get to the new city Monday night. Same thing,
Yeah.
and then big league travel is a lot different, and it's one of the things that once you experience it for the first time, you never wanna go back. Um, but it's so the schedule's different in the major leagues. You don't always have that built-in off day in your week, and so you'll usually play, 3 series in a row. So you're going to play 9 games, 10 games, 11 games in a row before you get an off day. And so if you're
Mhm.
on the road, so let's say we were at home for a series. So on a Sunday afternoon, the game ends. You get an hour and a half after the game. The bus takes you from the stadium to the airport. You drive directly onto the runway. There's a plane waiting for you. They load all the equipment on, they load all your baggage on, and then you get on the plane. You take off, fly to your city, kind of the same thing. You land, there's a bus waiting for you on the tarmac when you land. So you go from the plane directly on the bus drive you to the hotel, and then it just works that way for every city you go to. So if you're on the road, you go to Chicago for 3 days, and then fly out of Chicago, go to New York, leave New York, go to Philly, and then go back home. Um, so it's a lot more travel, but it's also more a lot more of luxurious travel for sure. I know at least the Nationals team plane, every seat was a first class seat, and they had card tables in between rows, and they feed you in the air. It's definitely that minor league baseball is not glamorous, and Major League Baseball definitely is. And so when you get there and you experience it, definitely kind of spoils you a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the things I really like about minor league baseball. is, the guys, all the guys out there, they're out there playing to make it
Yeah.
the big leagues, and you know, their their day-to-day life isn't exactly easy. A lot of people think, oh, they're just playing baseball or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, traveling and living out of hotels and and living in team housing and having roommates and things like that. It's just, it's a lot, I
Yeah.
imagine. His second question is, how do major league players treat rookies when they're called up?
So I think that kind of varies based on team to team. Um,
Mm,
but I know kind of another thing that has gotten a lot better over time. I think in the past it was a pretty rough experience for rookies.
mhm.
The veterans really wanted you to like earn your stripes in a way, and it was like probably similar to like a college frat or something where you know we all had to do this embarrassing thing, so now you have to do it, and um, there were some things that probably weren't the greatest.
Here,
But as
here's my suitcase.
yeah, but as we as a society kind of crack down on hazing, I think
Mm,
there's definitely a little bit of like, okay, like you're here, you're a rookie, like earn your stripes. But most of it now is, you carry a cooler onto the plane, and like you make sure somebody carries poker chips, and just you have to be there for like if there's a bus, you better be on the first bus. Uh,
mhm.
but I think for the most part, because the average age of a major league player has kind of come down a lot in recent years. Guys really understand that playing professional baseball is hard, and playing in the big leagues is really hard. And if guys want to have success and their team wants to win, it's probably not in their best interest to really kind of put a rookie in the dirt and make him feel more anxious and more stressed than he already is. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I think that for the most part, a lot of veterans do a really good job of kind of making rookies feel welcome, with the caveat that you are a rookie, so like you don't have the same exact privileges that somebody that's been in the big leagues for 12 years has.
Have you seen what some of the NFL like early round draft picks have to do? Like take an entire offensive line to dinner, and the bill is like $95,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd carry poker chips any day of the week as long as
yeah.
I can pay a
There were
$95,000 bill.
a couple
Yeah.
things I had to do when I was with the Nats. They made us sing karaoke on the bus, which, given your level of singing ability, could be worse for some than others. So karaoke, and then we dressed up as so Patrick Corbin and Kyle Finnegan were the veterans that kind of ran the clubhouse for the most part, and so the rookie, I don't know if I should even say the word, but like the rookie hazing that we had to do was it was Fruit Ninja. And so we were in Pittsburgh, we were flying to Milwaukee. And so for our trip, all the rookies had to dress up as fruit. So we came in off the field after the game, and every rookie had a fruit costume in their locker. And so we were fruit, and Corbin and
Yeah.
um
Oh my
ended
goodness.
up we got to Milwaukee, got on the bus, and we were getting close to our hotel, and so we had to do. They made us all the rookies do trivia, and for every trivia question we got wrong, we had to walk a block through Milwaukee in costumes, and so
That's
we ended up
great.
having to walk
Yeah.
the half
Oh
of
my goodness.
Milwaukee in a fruit costume, but it was good fun, and um nobody got hurt, and nobody it wasn't nothing serious. It was just good fun. So
I've seen a video of a Cubs rookie having to walk in full uniform, like 4 or 5 blocks to get coffee.
Yeah.
And he had to carry back all these like trays of coffees in his full uniform.
yeah,
I mean, if you've ever seen Chicago and Wrigley Field, that area is not like dead. It's not like
No.
there's not like a walkway you can take where you won't get noticed. You're in a full Cubs uniform, you're getting noticed.
yeah.
I
That's
think there's even some visiting teams that send their rookies out to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Send them to a Starbucks in full uniform,
Yeah.
holding cups, people asking for autographs. Oh God! Can you imagine Pete Crow Armstrong having to do that? Walk when he had to do it. He was so popular in Chicago,
Yeah.
they would be all over him.
All right, Amos, it is time for our semi-famous lightning round. So the lightning round, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. It's first answer that comes to mind is what you spit out. Some of these questions will make you laugh. I don't think there's any in this batch that are going to make you cry, but let's see what you got. Who's the loudest guy in the clubhouse? The one who never seems to have an inside voice. Clingstones.
Clingstones. Kevin Kilpatrick.
Dave, Kevin's name comes up quite often in these questions for a variety of questions as well. All right.
You know what? I'm going to actually change my answer. I'm going to say Landon Harper on that one.
Oh, we just had Landon Sunday on an interview.
Yeah, we just interviewed him a couple of days ago.
He'll get going.
And he's awesome. He was a great interview.
Yeah, he was.
All right. If Netflix wanted to do a documentary about the Clingstones inaugural season, which 3 players would they follow and focus
on? I would say probably J.R. Ritchie, even though he wasn't there for that long. Ritchie, Adam Zabrowski, and Kevin Kilpatrick.
3 really good answers.
Yeah.
All right. If a Clingstones talent show was held, what would your talent be?
Pitching.
Karaoke, maybe.
There you go, karaoke.
Yeah.
All right. What is more intimidating, a final exam at Georgia Tech or seeing Bryce Harper step into the batter's box while you're on the mound?
Final exam.
And you had Bryce Harper popped out to you, right?
Yeah.
Did you see him one time?
I saw him twice, actually. He's got a ground out and a fly out off me.
There we go. Attaboy. Way to make the Braves proud.
So the final exam for sure. Because at least, at minimum, the Harper at bat's not going to go on that long. The final exam is going to be about an hour and a half. So,
all right. For the last part of this lightning round, I'm going to give you some like senior superlative style categories.
Okay.
Clingstone's pitcher most likely to hit a home run during BP.
I mean, I was gonna say myself, but I'll say Tyler Laporte. He played shortstop at Southern University, so I think he's probably got the best chance.
All right. Clint, you've been in the big leagues, so you should be able to answer this clearly. Clingstone's player with the most big league swagger.
Oh, I mean,
I know who this is.
In a certain way, I'm going to say Brian Moran.
Oh, wasn't thinking that.
Every day shows up. I mean, just looks professional every day and just goes about his business. So even though he doesn't have like the flashy, like the swagger of, the gear and everything, he just, the way he carries himself, I think he's got some swagger.
I'm going to stop the lightning round real quick to say, BMO, if you are listening, we want you on StonerCast. We've been unable to get through to you to get an interview scheduled, but we want you here. So, Amos, if you have a line to BMO, let him know. We would love
I
to
might throw a whisper in his ear, see if I
Dude, his name has been mentioned so many times, from best dressed,
Best dress. I was going to say somebody named
most
him.
likely to be head coach, to now you are like he's got the most big league swagger. Yeah, we've got to have BMO on.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, best dugout hype man.
Oh, I want to say EJ Exposito is pretty big in the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Best meal close to Georgia Tech's campus that's not the varsity.
Rocky Mountain Pizza is right off the campus, and it's pretty good. So I'll say Rocky Mountain.
All right, you've gotten you to the last one, man. You killed these lightning round questions. I mean, no thought whatsoever. Worst visitors clubhouse at any level.
It's changed now, so it's probably not the worst anymore. But when I was coming through Hudson Valley, which was the high
Renegades.
it was high for the Yankees. It was so bad. We played there in April, or it was freezing cold. There was no hot water in the showers, so you had to take a cold shower, 40 degrees outside. There was no space. There were just the lockers were these metal, like high school football lockers, and it was a pretty small rectangular locker room, and there were lockers around the edges, and then there was also lockers in the center. And so there was no space to walk around. There was no space to change or like put any of your stuff. And then on top of that is there's no hot water in the clubhouse. There was no kitchen area. It was tough, but they've renovated it now, so I'm sure it's pretty nice now. But at the time, that was easily the worst clubhouse I'd ever been to.
All right, Amos, man. We're an hour and 17 minutes in, and I've got to say, you are my favorite interview. We've done this is now 10 episodes we've done. This is my favorite interview of all.
Yeah, you're a lot of fun to talk to. Just brought a lot, and you're definitely really into playing baseball and the process and everything. And we do appreciate you joining us. It's awesome.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
And like we tell every player, we're not going to say to you, man, we can't wait to see you next year. Obviously, your goal is to not be in Columbus next year, and that's cool with us. If you're in Gwinnett, we'll come see you. But, hey, if you're in Atlanta, I'll come see you there too. We'll make that deal right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
Go to Atlanta, I will come watch you in Truist Park.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, maybe we'll be there. So we'll see.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for loving on the fans in Columbus when you were here this year, and for being game to come on our podcast, man. It's been a pleasure to have you, and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. And thanks to the fans that listen. Maybe I was a little bit entertaining. So
I think you were. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. So, and you laughed when the question came up about Walgreens hat. I'm sure Braves fans will get a kick out of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, Amos. Well, thank you so much for coming on StonerCast, and we look forward to seeing your career as it progresses.
All right. Sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, Amos.
Thank you. You too.
Dude, can't ask for any better than that.
Man, wow, that was such a great interview. It was so much fun just listening to him talk and just elaborate on things, and just he's salt of the earth far as I'm concerned. He's great.
And by the time you guys hear this episode, Dave and I will have finished our 10th StonerCast. So this is right now scheduled to be episode 11. So thank you for your support. Thank you for joining us each and every week. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Man, we do this for you guys. There's no monetary gain. There's no, super benefit that we're getting out of this other than being able to deliver it to Clingstones fans. And, this is for you, by you. We're fans. This is for fans by fans. So thank you for tuning in each and every week when we release an episode. Dave, this thing was supposed to originally be bi-weekly because we were worried we weren't going to get enough interviews.
That's right.
Here we are 11 weeks in, and boom. I mean, we've had some really tremendous interviews. So as always, thank you, Dave, for joining in, for coming loaded with questions, for handling the fan question portion of this interview. And Amos Willingham, man, we want you back on StonerCast at some point. We would love to have you back on. What a great interview! So,
and appreciate you too, Rick. You do a lot on the back end over there, and it's a lot of fun, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's it's a Wednesday night here in Columbus, Georgia, and this episode will drop on a Friday morning. So if you're listening for the first time on a Friday morning, happy Friday. We're just so blessed that you've tuned in, and we're so blessed that we've had great guests that have joined StonerCast to discuss their career and their path to Columbus and their path from Columbus. So thank you again. And as always, we're going to close it out like we always do. Go Stones.
Go Stones.
Thanks for tuning in to StonerCast, your inside look into Columbus Clingstones baseball. Please like, subscribe, and share to stay connected as we bring you closer to the Stones.